Rockstars! This is Sherelle Ty, your transformational nutrition coach, and I am coming to you today to talk about my personal journey from surviving to thriving and how I found my inner warrior. Now, this video is going to be a bit longer than my typical video, and it's also going to be a lot more vulnerable and raw. So here we go. Stay tuned. So a few years ago, I left a relationship that I had been in for almost 10 years. It was one of the hardest things that I've ever done in my entire life. Because I lost my best friend and someone who I loved since I was like 20 years old. So I started going through the grieving process of that huge loss. And what happened was that process put me in a very vulnerable and impressionable state. Like a state that I had never experienced before in my life. In that process, I ended up allowing myself to be in situations that caused, in moments and even sometimes for days, extreme anxiety and depression. Some days it got so bad that I felt like my brain and my heart were totally gonna explode. In fact, it got so bad that some days I couldn't even get out of bed. I had totally lost my appetite. It was like no matter what I did, I couldn't force food down my throat. And I ended up losing about 16 pounds, which was really bad because at the time I was already thin to begin with. I allowed my boundaries to be violated. I hushed my logic, I silenced my intuition, and I dismissed that voice in the back of my head telling me to run. I had given up my power. It actually started taking a turn for the better because I was pretty much constantly in a state of anxiety and the feeling of fight or flight, kind of like that feeling, when your body's in overdrive, physically, mentally, psychologically, emotionally. I covered all those. And so all that had, I was totally maxed out. I had reached my pinnacle of the max of what my body and mind and soul could tolerate. What happened in that moment? I finally reached a point where my body and my soul could no longer tolerate being in such a heightened state, a heightened vulnerable state, and everything in my body said stop. Essentially what happened is what I had allowed to infiltrate my life had become so incongruent to who I was as a human being that I got to the point where I either was gonna have to die to my authentic self or walk away. So I walked away. I took my power back. It took every single ounce of strength left in me to make that choice. So I started the journey of healing my heart, body, soul, mind, and spirit. I turned to some of my closest family and friends, people that I knew that I trusted and that were safe, and that loved me unconditionally. This part where I get choked up. Because sometimes it just felt like I was solely able to get through the day because of all their encouragement, love, and support. Day by day, I started getting better through crying a crap ton doing like meditations, yoga, exercising, nourishing my body with really healthy foods, and pretty much like watching every single podcast and video and reading everything I possibly could that I thought would help me on my healing journey, and with communing with people that were encouraging and loving and supportive of me at that time. I forgave myself for allowing myself to be in those situations. I forgave the individuals involved. I cut the negative energy cords. I was insanely intentional about only allowing things and people into my life that were going to help me restore and heal my mind, body, and soul. And slowly I started to gain my appetite and my weight back. When I reflect back, I realize how strong I've become emotionally, physically, psychologically, mentally. I learned a crap ton about emotional regulation, about how freaking strong, brave, and courageous I actually am, and that no person or situation can take away my power if I don't allow it. Those were the hardest lessons of my entire life, but I'm a freaking badass woman warrior now. And I can confidently say that not only am I surviving, but I'm thriving now. Beautiful, may this provide you with hope if you are in a similar situation. And I want to let you know that you do have the power, the strength, the bravery, the courage to walk away. And there is a bright rainbow light at the end of the tunnel, I promise you. Please, if you need any encouragement or support on this journey, contact me. And until next time, I am sending you tons of hugs and huge, huge, bright light, positive vibes.